All right. Here's your man, Sir-Earl, coming at you again with another podcast. Today, I have a podcast. First off, I want to say that I thank all the people that have, excuse the noise, I thank all the people that have came through and subscribed to the podcast. It's really starting to take off. I'm asking the listeners that have subscribed, that like what I have to talk about, to please stay tuned, recommend it to other people because we have some great stuff coming up. What I try to do is that I'm more than just a trainer. I do talk about training and fitness, but I have some great interviews coming up. I have some more short rants, as I call them, like this one is today. So, and we're located on so many different platforms that it's impossible for someone not to be able to find what who we are and what we do. The podcast can be found on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Facebook, and it's My World One. IT apostrophe S My World and the number one. And we just try to cover some great things. It's more than just about training, it's about life. So today, what I want to do, I want to cover a subject that I looked at and I found it very interesting, and that is the thing of alter egos. Let me explain why I found it very interesting. A lot of times, as people, we're filled with excuses of why there's certain things we can't do, and it's programmed in our mind. We feel those are accomplishments that we can't accomplish. So what I found is that when you look at certain people, certain athletes, certain singers, or whatever, they create this persona, which is basically a second personality, and it has a different name. They perform different, and they start to do things and achieve things that normal person couldn't do. For instance, Michael Jordan was one of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game, but I'm quite sure that's not the Michael Jordan that his family knew or his kids knew. Right now, you could go up to anybody and you could say MJ, and they will know exactly who you're talking about. So MJ was the alter ego of Michael Jordan that felt he would become the greatest player to ever play the game. Michael Jordan didn't because he might have thought that was an impossible task, but MJ, nickname alter ego, whatever you want to call it, was able to accomplish that goal. The same way with Irvin Johnson and his Magic. He played, won 5 rings, became a really great player, and now he runs a billion-dollar corporation. And at work, no one calls him Irving, or when he's out in public, everybody knows him as Magic. So, he created that persona that could achieve the things that probably Irving couldn't. You had Mike Tyson, and the interesting thing about Mike Tyson, the thing that they say about alter egos or personalities is that you don't let the wrong one go to the wrong place. For instance, Mike Tyson was known as Iron Mike when he was in the ring. Well, one day Mike Tyson showed up in the ring, and you saw what happened. He got knocked out, and he's never been the same since. Because Mike Tyson is that fragile kid that got picked on growing up. Iron Mike was this big, ferocious bully that got in the ring and just destroyed people. Our current president, which is questionable, but Donald Trump, he's known as the Donald. So he was able to amass a real estate fortune in probably one of the toughest places to own real estate, which is Manhattan. And he was known as the Donald. That was his alter ego. Me personally, to have come from no high school, no college, to run a very successful business. Several of them. I have about 4 different businesses. I operate, when I do business, I'm Sir-Earl. That's who I'm known as. And that allows me to think in a way and perform in a way that Earl Bell wouldn't. You might find Earl Bell at home making cookies for the kids when they were home. They're gone now, but that's the difference. I'm a savvy businessman when I'm Sir-Earl, and that's who I like to go to work And I like for Earl Bell to come home because I like to hang with my kids, make cookies, and do all these things that people probably would not expect of me. They're gone now; they're grown and gone, so I don't have to adhere to that anymore. But I mean, you have LeBron James. He created the persona of King James, and he became arguably one of the best players ever. I don't think he's better than Michael Jordan, but he came from a high school kid to become one of the best players in the NBA of his time. That's not even a discussion. He is one of the greatest players of his time. He's a genetic man child. And when he's on the court, he's King James and he holds court and he does his job. So he goes by that alter ego. You had Kobe, who Kobe became known as the Black Mamba. And if anybody knows what a Black Mamba is, it's probably one of the deadliest snakes in the world. And he became known as a guy that would take your life. I remember reading a story by his trainer, Tim Grover, the same guy that trained Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade. He asked Kobe, what does Kobe do? Kobe says, I give out numbers. And he said, what do you mean you give out numbers? He said, I gave that guy 50, I gave him 60, I gave him 81. So he was very, very lethal. He was, when he played the game, to me, he played the game right. Stole a lot of stuff from Michael Jordan, but he played the game the way it should be played, competitive, hard, and lethal. You have baseball players. Alex Rodriguez goes by the name of A-Rod. Why? Because Alex Rodriguez probably could not do the things that A-Rod was able to do. Two-time American League MVP, World Series winners, and all those things. So I'm not just saying go out and create an alter ego that means nothing. It's I'm saying that a part of what I try to do within this podcast is help people discover their greatness. We all have something great in us, and I've just found a world that we use too many excuses. Everybody got it better than us, and it's that's not true. You never know a person's journey. Some people have came from a very, very, very dark place, a very long road, but they believed in themselves, and they built something significant, and they just work their ass off. And a lot of people think it's a gift. Oh, somebody gave it to you. You must have inherited some money. Um, we don't know. We don't know a person's journey, but some people generally, the harder you work, the less you relent, the more you've been through. You've been through a bunch of tough times, to whereas what people may look at as tough, you look at as, oh well, I've been through worse. I know that's the way I go about doing things. I've been through a lot worse than people yelling at me about where's the ComEd payment for my business. I've been through a lot worse. So that's really nothing to me. Yes, we all wanna, we don't want it, but it's not the end of the world. And so what I try to do within this podcast, I try to discuss the things that hold people back. We have a society that is full of excuses. They don't believe they were put here to be great. I believe that whomever we look up to as the higher source, I call him Jesus. You can call him whatever you choose to call him, but look to something bigger than yourself and understand that we've all been given great gifts, and we don't know what those gifts are if that creativity of who we are is curtailed and we're not allowed to live our life. We don't believe that we were put on this earth to do something great. We believe we were put on this earth to work a 9 to 5, get a check, pay your bills, die, or retire. And retirement in itself, and that you work your ass off for 40 years and then you get 35% of your pay, and to go watch and go on your way. I think that's ridiculous, but that's what some people look to. I don't try to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do. I believe in happiness. I believe that you should be happy, in whatever it is that you decide to do. If that's work, that's fine. As long as you enjoy your job, take care of your family, try to be a good person, then that's great. It's not to say everybody should be an entrepreneur. I definitely don't believe that. I've met a lot of them that have no business being an entrepreneur, but um, you have to understand that you yourself, you have the power to do some great things. And I hear people come up with excuses. Oh, I don't have time. I got bills to pay. The government is in turmoil. Well, the way I look at it, there's no source higher than the source that we look up to. Whether you call them, God, Jesus, Buddha, Elijah, whatever we want to decide as a religion. Um, we take on the understanding that we can do all things through Jesus Christ, who strengthens us. But then we say, oh, well, I can't do that because, the man won't give me a loan. Um, that's not a lack of resource. That's a lack of resourcefulness. Don't let the world and the people in the world limit your ability to have a dream and go after that dream. We were built on dreams, and they are still prevalent today. And if you pursue your dream and you do the work and you never give up, you will get it. There's no ifs and buts about it. So what I try to tell people is that find that thing that's deep inside you, that thing that makes you want to be the best that you could be. I don't within my space. I want to be the best that I can be, and if that comes from creating an alter ego, if that comes from just believing in yourself, if that comes from whatever it may come from, you definitely want to not take the easy route and excuses, because you'll get to a point in your life where you look back and you'll say, "Damn, shoulda, woulda, coulda," and that's a life you never want to live because there's never an answer to that. Only shoulda, woulda, coulda, and you never have an you never can understand why. You sit back, you look, you regret your life, and that's just something you don't want to do. You want to go forward. Even if it doesn't work out, you'll be further off than what you were. So, I am a firm believer in chasing after your dreams. So I want people to take this podcast. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff. I got a lot of interviews coming up that I think you're going to find very fascinating. They'll be included in video. So we're going to start doing more video. The podcast is really getting popular. It's really taking on, and we're getting better and better each week. So I have interviews with Sean Ray, Hall of Fame bodybuilder, coming up. I have an interview with Kendall Gill, played 15 years in the NBA and is current announcer for the Chicago Bulls. He'll be doing an interview with me. I have Melvin Buckley, who most people probably never heard of, but Melvin he used to own 3 McDonald's. Now he owns a Steak and Shake, which is down in University City. So, I have Mike Trimble, who owns a trucking company, who's a client of mine, who I think is just one of the good guys. I have a couple of mayors, Bernard Alsbury, who's the mayor of Hazel Crest, who's one of my clients. He'll be doing the interview with me. I have Chris Clark, who just won the mayor of Harvey. I knew Chris when, he was going through one of the worst periods of his life. And he took that, got a law degree, became a lawyer, and took it all the way to the mayor of Harvey, which if anybody can turn that city around, Chris could turn that city around. So I'm going to have all these people on for interviews. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be very knowledgeable. You need to definitely hear a lot of what these people have to say, because one of the things that I want to dispel, we believe that as young blacks, unless we're a basketball player, a rapper, lawyer, doctor, we cannot be successful. And I found that to be very untrue. I have a lot of successful people that I train that are neither famous nor athletic. They run businesses, or they run towns, like the mayors that I train. And I just think as people, as young males, we need to see what what is possible in this world. So, as I said before, I'm on a lot of platforms. It's IT apostrophe as my world one, the number one. I'm on Podbean, PODBEAN. That's my main host, but I'm also on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, WordPress. You can check my website www.Sir-Earlsworld.com. I have Twitter, SirEarlsWorld.com. So generally, either it's my world or Sir Earl's World. You can find me, whether I'm writing great articles or whether I'm hosting a podcast or no matter what it is that I'm doing. I'm all about trying to bring positivity to the world, to the space that I know. And, I want people to hear this because no one's really doing it. No one's really telling you can be great. And I want this podcast to be passed on. I want people to understand that you can be great. You were meant to be great. So until next time, you got Sir Earl checking out. Catch you again next week. Peace.